Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
Now imagine being in almost unbearable pain, constantly exhausted and fatigued. That is what it's like living with sickle cell anemia, an inherited blood disorder which mostly affects people of African or Caribbean heritage. Last December, we first met Adewale Lawal, who was offered a new form of stem cell transplant with the potential to cure him of the disease. NHS England, however, wouldn't fund it, but he managed to raise the cash, and our health and social care correspondent Victoria MacDonald has had exclusive access as Adewale became the first adult in the UK to undergo the procedure.
It's like being hit back to back with two double-decker buses. The pain itself is so excruciating that not any ordinary painkiller can touch it.
Adewale Lawal was born with sickle cell anemia. It causes the red blood cells to become rigid and sickle-shaped. It can be completely debilitating. In his case, he's had 2 strokes and was told he had an 85% chance of having another.
I did, yeah. So have you been then? Have you been busy?
Yeah, it's been...
In December, we filmed him having his weekly blood transfusion at Addenbrooke's Hospital in Cambridge. These transfusions dominated his life, making it difficult to work, to travel, to be normal.
I said to the doctor, I said, I can't do these things anymore. She goes, it's your choice. And I said, what do you mean by that? And she goes, well, you can choose to do the transfusions and keep you alive, or you can die.
At King's College Hospital in South London, they suggested a new treatment developed in America that could potentially cure him.
I was introduced to a doctor at King's, and Dr. Potter said, well, you can have a stem cell transplant which will rectify everything. And that was really good news until the stupid idea of you can have it, but you can't have it because the NHS won't pay for it.
NHS England, in fact, will only pay for children to have the transplant, saying it is too risky in adults, that there needs to be more research. Yet in March, this is where we met Adewale again, the hospital having agreed to the procedure using NHS facilities and NHS staff, but for the cost price of £65,000. With fundraising and help from family and friends, the 47-year-old was to become the first adult in the UK to have this sickle cell transplant. I asked Adewale if he still thought it was a risk worth taking.
It would be idiotic of me to turn it down because the good far outweighs the bad. And I need to hold on to the fact that the success rate of this is still 85%. That's better than most things. So with that, I'm still going ahead with it.
And there are risks, but this new treatment is less toxic than in the past, using chemotherapy and radiotherapy to shut down his immune system and prepare it for the donated stem cells. While we are there, his wife Julie arrives. She tells us she supports him, but has had the odd wobble.
There was one moment that I had, we were just at home and Adewale's in the bathroom brushing his teeth, something, you know, right, quite normal and every day, and for some reason the sound and the music of Michael Jackson, You Are Not Alone, came to mind, and I was just in floods of tears, and it's like he's going through some really bad stuff, but we're all here behind him as he goes through that.
So you have consented for chemotherapy so that you can have bone marrow transplant, okay?
Yes.
Now check, is that your signature?
That one is.
Fine. 1 week later, we return to the hospital. In this test tube is the bone marrow taken from Adewale's brother, who was a full match, hugely increasing the odds of success. It tested and treated in the laboratory before it leaves. A container filled with, quite simply, the promise of a new life.
Hello.
This is the moment. Adewale has absolutely no immune system now. His own bone marrow destroyed, ready to receive the donation.
Hey.
It flows through him with surprising speed, resetting a body that had let him down. Now there is the waiting to see if it is taken. 14 days, and they can usually tell if the body has rejected or accepted the transplant. The news is better than anyone had expected, because the next time we see him, he's at home.
And they said, well, your results have shown progress and we think it's taken.
We think.
That's what I said as well. It shows that it's taken, so you can go home.
Nobody uses the word cure yet. There is still a small risk his body will reject the transplant. His doctor says it will take a year to really know that it's worked.
Were you nervous about recommending it?
I think that, you know, for every single patient, of course, you always are nervous, but having assessed him, the combination of the fact that he didn't really have other treatment options and that everything else about him in terms of his organ function, how well he was, indicated it would be a relatively safe procedure for him.
And that he had a 100% match.
And he had a full sibling match.
The hospital is now applying for a research grant so there can be more transplants, potentially changing the lives of some of the thousands affected by sickle cell in Britain. It is now more than 4 months since the treatment, and there is no sign of the sickle cell.
I haven't finished paying for it yet, but yeah, it's such a relief. My body hasn't gone into any spasm, pain, or anything like that. It's just been me. You've carried the burden for so many years, and all of a sudden, it's not there anymore.
Very inspiring story.
I've been